A very good Chodesh, everyone, a Freilich and Chanukah. At very get-go, our learning is dedicated to Reb Mindik's grandfather, Moshe ben Chaim Simcha ben Yamin. His neshama should have a lichtige aliyah and be a melis yosher for his family, for all of us, and all of Klal Yisrael. Before we start the Mishnah, we know that it's our job to be aware of Hashem. That's really the purpose of life. Ma Hashem shoyel me'imach kiyim liyira. And Rav Miller says yira means to see. That we should be aware of Hashem. So that's life. Rav Miller says that one of the ways to see Hashem through history and not to think that it's chas v'shalom, just a random hodgepodge of events, is to see the threads that run through history. So, for example, one thread that runs through history is Midah K'neged Midah, measure for measure. What Yisro said, Ati Yodati Ki Hashem Elokim Ki Badavar Asher Zodu Aleim. What they plotted befell them. Right? They threw the babies, and the Nile was full of blood, so the Nile turned into blood. And the fish nibbled at the babies, the fish died. They didn't allow us to bathe. We became lice-infested, so they were stricken with lice. Everything is Midah K'neged Midah. And all the way from the first man, we know that the snake tempted us, that the fruit was delicious, so therefore the snake was told, Offer toichel kol yemei chayecha. And it's not going to have taste buds anymore. It's not going to taste anything. The snake caused man to go lie down in death. So therefore the snake was made to crawl on the ground. Its feet were cut off. The woman, she gave to Cain and Hevel the fruit. That's what it says. That's why they died, because she gave also to her own children. So be'etzev tel dibanim, man who ate from that which he was prohibited to eat, so therefore the ground will no more give him easily, and the man was cursed with b'zeis apecha teichel lochem and kaitz v'darda tatzmiach. And throughout history, the thread of Midah K'neged Midah is always there. We sold our brothers as a slave, therefore we had to be sold as slaves in Egypt. We had to become slaves in Egypt. And it's throughout, that's a thread that helps us see the Rebbeinu Shalom. There's another thread. It's actually from the slichus of the Bahab Tinyana. It's a rule called Mimaka Atzma Misaken Aratia. From the wound itself, Hashem fashions the cure. So now that's true, literally. Person gets a cut le'aleinu. So from the wound itself starts coming out the cure. Right? That's Mimaka Atzma Misaken Aratia. Also, doctors will tell you that how do you know a person is sick? They have a fever. But the fever itself is the heat treatment that gives the cure. So Mimaka Atzma Misaken Aratia. That's a thread. Now, why do I say it's a thread in history? Well, look what happened in Mitzrayim. In Mitzrayim, what was the Makkah? Paro. Madman, right? Mass murderer. Bathed in the blood of 150 babies in the morning, 150 Jewish babies in the evening for his saras. He was a mass murderer. His palace raised Moshe Rabbeinu. So Mimaka Atzma Misaken Aratia. Same thing happened in Purim. Achashverosh. Medrash says Achiv Shel Rosh is the brother of another, had the brother of Nebuchadnezzar. He was a monster. It says that he hated the Jews more than Haman, as I state in Gemara Megillah. And it's in his palace, from his wife, Esther, that came to Yeshua. So Mimaka Atzma Misaken Aratia. He raised her, and he brought the Yeshua. That thread is by Chanukah also. There was a terrible makkah. We know that women are not supposed to do malacha in the first half an hour after the candles are lit. Why? Because there was a terrible gezerah during the time of Hanukkah that kol b'sula shenisis tiboel lehegmoin tchila. That any b'sula that gets married, she has to submit herself to the Greek governor first. So therefore no women got married. That was a terrible makkah. But it's because of that when the enemy, either the daughter or the granddaughter of Yochanan Kohen Gadol, so she submitted to him, and that's how she gained entry into him, to give him the milk and make him tired and then to kill him. So it's mimaka atzma, from the wound itself, misakan ratiyah. Hashem fashioned the cure. So we see that the Rebbeinu Shalom gives us a thread to see always the pattern, that we should see that nothing is haphazard, that we should see the Yad Hashem. Look at the candles, and we're thinking about the Yad Hashem. Okay, we now learn the Mishnah Yomis. For today, we finish this intricate 13th parak of Yevamos with Mishnah Yud Beis and Yud Gimel, Mishnah Yud Beis and Yud Gimel, and we learn, dedicated by the Fisher family, Lila Nishmas Basi Bas Rabbi Shlomo ben Avram Alevi Perel Bas Ruvain, Lila Nishmas Avram Dov ben David Schus Avram ben Yom ben Ish ben Malki Yudis and family, Lefu Shalem Efel Yo Moshe ben Chai Sarah, by Yo Kugman and family, Lefu Shalem Efel Vigdaya ben Rivka, Meir ben Chai Sarah, and Ruvain ben Tema. They should have a refuah shalema b'seich shachal Yisrael. So Yovan Katan Shabal Yavam Katan. Here we have that Reuven was married to a young girl. Reuven dies, and the young girl falls to Shimon. And Shimon is also a young boy, so they're both kids. So they yigdalu zemzeh. They grow up one with another. If once they slept together, they can't do a get until they grow up. So they grow up one with another. Baal Yevama Gedayla, if let's say Shimon is a kid, but the wife, Sarah, is an adult, so Tigadlenu, she should raise him, because if she wants to be divorced from him, she first has to wait until he grows up. Now, let's say here's the situation. Reuven marries Sarah, dies childless. Sarah falls to Shimon, and Shimon takes her into his house, but he doesn't sleep with her. So she wants a get, but she says, you got to give me chalitza because you never slept with me. And he's embarrassed. He says, I slept with you. So if she said during the first 30 days, listen, he's not with me, and I want to get in a divorce, we believe her. She didn't wait too long. So we forced him to give chalitza. If she lived with him quietly for 30 days, and then after 30 days, she wakes up and says, he didn't sleep with me, why didn't you say so sooner? We don't believe her, and therefore the only thing we could do is we could ask him to please give chalitza, because otherwise, without chalitza, she made herself a chaticha, she made herself usher in her own words, so therefore she can't get married until she gets the chalitza. But we can't force him, because we don't really believe her, because why did you wake up? Why did you wait 30 days? But if Shimon admits that he didn't sleep with her, then even after a year, we force him to give chalitza when he gives her a get. Now in this case, what happened over here was, Reuven was married to Sarah, and Reuven had a brother Shimon. Reuven is still alive. Sarah doesn't like Shimon. So she vows not to have any benefit from him. She vows not to have any benefit from him. But there's no reason to believe that she did it because she didn't want to have Yibum with him, because her husband is alive and his heart is beating. So if she says, I vow not to have benefit from Shimon, while her husband is still alive, and then her husband dies, now she can't submit to Yibum because she said she can't benefit from him. So here, since we don't have a reason to say that she made the vow to avoid Yibum, so then we force Shimon to give her chalitza. If after her husband dies, she says, prohibit myself to have hana from Shimon. So therefore she is doing it in order not to do the mitzvah of Yibam. So then we cancel her and we don't force Shimon to give chalitza, only mevakshinei menu shiachlitza. If we know that even while her husband was alive, she made the vow because she says, oh, no way I'll ever fall to Shimon L'Yibam, then afilu b'chayabala, even if she made the vow during the lifetime of her husband, mevakshinei menu shiachlitza, we can only ask Shimon to give chalitza. We don't force him, since she made a neder to preclude the mitzvah daraisa of Yibam. I want to remind you that tonight we have a very packed schedule here tonight with a Marav at 7:45. I think we have some parties, so we really need help. So first of all, everybody at davens, please don't even think of not davening with us. Don't even think about it. But the 7:45, 8 o'clock is the daf. 9 o'clock is the Chumashir on Parshas Miketz. And I'm telling you that a Miketz, not on Hanukkah, is a really rare. I mean, it's a really rare. The next Parshas Miketz, not on Hanukkah, is in the year 2040. That's how rare it is. It happened to be that it was 2 years ago. But before that, it was in the year 2000. So it could get a little sporadic. But it won't be again for 17 years. Hanani ben Kasha Amaratza Kadosh Baruch